It is a terrible thing when brother takes up arms against brother. The lands in the south run red with the blood of kings and their kin, whilst to the north the winds carry the bitter chill of war. Winter is coming, say the Starks, but they say nothing of the tempest that already dwells within their lands, a storm centuries in the making. Summer will end soon enough, and childhood as well. A sister lost, a brother returned, a family changed. In a time of turmoil, can they trust their allies? Can they trust their family? The North remembers, and the children of House Braddock cannot forget. Gross. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Further North, our Song of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones campaign. The freaking backstage talk is just as gross as always, so I'm very hyped to be here with my lovely friends whom I love and adore and I'm going to destroy the lives of. But you're right there, Johnny, that was a face.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so I think before we get into the show tonight, let's just go around really quickly and just introduce our characters again. And because no one mentioned what they looked like last week, let's have a brief description of what your character looks like. So, Mr. Johnny Blams.
Hey, I'm Johnny Blams, and I will be playing Brynden Braddock. He is one of the two Braddock twins, and we're the youngest out of the four siblings. For once, this is the first character that I actually thought would slightly look like me. I picture Brynden having more flowing hair and a little more boyish charm since she's 17, going on 18, butt up ching. Brynden is a character that wants to prove himself. He wants to be heard. He wants to feel valued and show that he can hold his own with his older brother Brolin, and has some good ideas in that northerner and teen angst, broody, moody head of his. So that's a pretty good wrap on Brynden the Bowboy.
Brynden the Bowboy. And Brynden's twin, Miss Riona Braddock, played by the lovely Shauna.
Hey, Shauna, playing Cirrus. Yeah, I'm playing Riona Braddock, the youngest of the Braddock children, youngest twin. She has kind of like similar like hair, dark, like kind of light brown, but she is rather thin, frail, and just looks like she's been inside. Just because she has been inside, she's been stuck at Greenwall Keep because she is ill most of the time, and her family would not chance her leaving. And what she wants now is to get out and, be her own person again.
Excellent, cool. And that brings us to their big brother, Brolin Braddock, played by the wonderful Bill of the Forest.
Hello, friends. I am Bill of the Forest. I'm playing Lord Brynden, who is of large build, as he spent most of his life away from the family in perhaps combat. Well, at least that's what it would appear. He is a very large, broad-shouldered man, standing at about 6'1"-ish. If the American system of measurement was around back then. He also has a big brown beard, medium length brown hair, and bright green eyes, a trait synonymous with all of the Braddock children, and something that has been passed down through the ages. So for all you genetics nerds out there, it is a dominant trait. And yeah, I'm super excited to get into this.
Hell yeah, and playing his lovely wife, Lady Lyneth Braddock, is Deirdre Dunlin. Hello.
Hello. Yes, that's right. I get to play Lyneth. Braddock Nee Tyrell. She does not look like any of these Northerners because she's from Highgarden originally and is much shorter than her husband. Just about the height of his clavicle, so maybe about 5'5", maybe, depending on if she's wearing heels or not. And then she has long, dark, almost mahogany red hair and bright blue eyes, and is at 20, young but still older than the twins and seen a little bit more of the world, shall we say.
Mm-hmm. And it's not often you see people from the south and the north, so she's an interesting character. But speaking of interesting characters, we come across to Maester Nymar, played by the lovely Trooper.
Hello, everyone. I'm Trooper SJP. I'm very excited to be here. We had just such a lovely last session that I'm sure nothing will go wrong today. I am playing Maester Namor, who is, and as you know, as a maester, you give up your name or titles, and you are also theoretically celibate. That's in there somewhere. And so my last name is not important, but I'm a Martell. I am from Dorne. I'm a Martell, and Nymor is 25, the same age as Brolin, has got sort of dark hair. It's a little floppy, has got like a goatee and like a little goatee and like a sort of like a well-groomed mustache, otherwise clean shaven amongst all of the sort of the bearded Northerners, sort of olive complected, dark hair, dark eyes. You can think maybe like a young Antonio Banderas when he was in Zorro, when he was not in his Zorro persona, but in his Dawn persona with this exciting facial hair. We're going with that. He's about 5'7". He's not like super beefy like a muscle person. That is not where he's at. He's more sort of like thin and wiry. But for a person who's a maester, a bookish person, he looks like he's been out in the sun and has lived life, shall we say. He looks like he's lived life.
Hell yeah. But nonetheless, he is a Martell, therefore he is dead to me personally. So before I get into the game proper, I just again want to give a shout out to our sponsors. We say thanks to Snowhaven, Modifius, Accent Punk, iHunt, and Defiant. The links are in chat. Please do check them out because those sponsors help us make this magic happen. So again, huge thanks to them. So last week, it was a sad duty that the children of House Braddock had to perform with the sending off of their mother, the Lady Agatha Braddock, named Mormont. Family was reunited as your aunt and cousins came over from Bear Island to say goodbye to their family member. And people gathered from across the north, mostly, with a few notable missing people and noticeable missing ravens of condolence too from some houses. But the festivities, if you can call them that, went off without a hitch, basically. The funeral was a quiet, somber affair. The children got to say goodbye to their mother. And then, in true Northerner fashion, the wake was an absolute slam dunk. There was alcohol everywhere. There was stories being told. There was roughhousing. Tables were broken. And a good time was had by all, including happy news given to the Lord Braddock by his wife. It was revealed that she is with child, and there will be a new Braddock on the way very soon. Meanwhile, Riona began being courted by the young Lord Manderley, who had introduced himself to her and made quite the impression. as the two of them spent the evening chatting. Meanwhile, Brynden was being a man of the people, being manhandled by his aunt and cousins as he attempted to join in with them in the festivities. But just as the evening was winding down, a raven arrived, bearing dark news that Lord Barthagan Stark was dead, and that the Lord Braddock was being called to Winterfell to pay respects to his new liege lord. I can English today. That was good. And that is where we left it, and that is where we're going to pick up with Maester Nymor having this raven in hand.
So Nymor, not seeing any of the lord or lady in the longhouse, steps outside to see if he can find them out there, and he looks about. He notices the sort of the mobile rookery where the raven had come from, and he decides to basically take nodding, of course, to our aunt, well, their aunt, on the way out, and he will stop and go, pardon me, Lady Mormont, have you seen Lord and Lady Braddock?
She gets this big smile across her face, and she says, yeah, they weren't too subtle, but they headed down to the tree.
Pause, register, note, and head off towards it's just like that, like, and heads off towards the tree, in a bit of a rush.
Okay, yeah. And at this point, the snows have been fairly consistent since they started at the beginning of the funeral, and there's like a good dusting around you now. I mean, there's always a low-key level amount of snow in the north. But yeah, it's starting to build up and stick now as you make your way, and the wind is starting to get chilly and a little biting as it blows through you. And you make your way down to Ragnar's Light and the tree. What does he see as he arrives?
I'm gonna let Prax describe it.
Thanks. I think by this, because the other thing is that the salt tree is literally on an island that's only available at low tide. So the tide has also been coming in, and so I think by this point, the two of them are actually soaked by the tide coming in. And for those of you who maybe get classic movie references, there's a film called From Here to Tomorrow. It's got it has a beach scene. Look it up. From Here to Eternity. Thank you, Trooper, for helping me. From Here to Eternity. Look up that beach scene from Here to Eternity, except with red velvets and satins. And most of the pins are out of Beth's hair, and it's falling.
Question though, because I feel like your clothing might actually be dry. For all I know, it might be hung up in the branches of the tree and not on the ground. I mean, it's possible. I mean, I don't know what's going on over there.
No, I like the better image. So wet.
Just being moist. Nope. Take that back. Wet.
Keep going.
But
Whatever happens to you, the applicable adjective when you're in the ocean, in the waves. Take your pick. There's a bevy.
For the audience, this the place where we're at, the tree, the salt tree, is a weirwood tree that has been turned to glass in a way, and it is on this little island that had once been connected to the coast. It's not very far, sort of like a sandbar, but when the tide comes in, the tree, the island where the tree is, sort of cut off, and around the tree actually are two people, two figures, like statues, but they also are turned to glass. Like you might think maybe Vesuvius, right? Pompeii, but sort of two figures of a man and a woman before the tree, but turned into not human being bodies, quite ancient. And I think besides the two bodies and this sort of fossilized tree, or that's not the word, fossilized is not the right word, but that is
No, I
that
mean,
is the
it's fossilized. It was fossilized. It was fossilized before it turned to glass, because the incoming salt water fossilized it.
Oh, I was talking about the people.
Oh, the people
I
are
meant
turned to
the
glass.
Yeah, the people are also turned to glass. They're like these two people turned to glass, this tree that's been fossilized and then also turned to glass before them. Lord and Lady Braddock, I'm sorry to interrupt your evening, but I'm afraid I have important news. Petrified.
Have you
Petrified is the word. Thank you.
have you approached us? Are you in our personal space? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I am. I'm just in your personal space. Martells don't care about any of that.
Well, he'll let out a, and then he'll push himself up, kind of buckle the things he needs to buckle on himself. Glad to see we're both performing our duties.
I'm sorry to interrupt before you are finished, if you are not finished. But this is one of those things I think might take precedence over... well, pleasure. So, a message has come on a raven. Dark words, dark wings. And I will hand over the small note.
Do you happen to bring a torch or?
Oh, no. But I'm afraid that Lord Barthagen Stark has died, and you are summoned to Winterfell immediately.
Thank you, Naimor.
Of course, my lord.
Send out orders soon. Let us reconvene at Greenwall, and we'll decide what happens from there.
I will not tell anyone at the funeral at this moment. I will let them continue their revelry, and also, if you need to finish and your mood has not been destroyed, I take my leave. Turn and...
As he's walking off, how long of a ride is it to Winterfell?
Oh, well, it's 3 days back to Greenwall and about a week to Winterfell. So, by my estimation, it also depends on if you're taking a full retinue or not. If it's if there are no carriages, then it will be perhaps 9 days. But if you are taking carriages, full retinue, it would probably take 10 or 11, depending. There are no places to exchange horses from here to there. So, besides Greenwall, it will be less than 2 weeks, but a week and a half.
Thank you for your service.
My lord, my lady.
And
I leave them to their private time.
He'll look over in the dark, perhaps like a faint moon glow casts over us, and he'll look at Lyneth with like wide eyes and just go, and he'll extend a hand to her if she's still opted to sit in the sands.
I think she'd been probably stood up by now, but she will take your hand. Well, I guess it's time to get back to work, darling.
I suppose you're right. Well, let's try to have what fun we can this evening.
Yes. Also, are you going to intentionally try and intimidate the young Lord Manderley, or are you just going to let him stew?
No. But I can't help him.
No. But I think you might be surprised at how well things are going.
What would you have me do then?
Don't glare at him.
What happens if he acts like the Flint did?
Then you may break both his knees and possibly kill him, but don't glare at him before anything happens.
I admire your optimism. We're just going to go back to the party and pretend like we haven't heard anything else, or what's the best social play?
The best social play is possibly to kind of sneak in the back, and unless Nymor has said that he will not be sharing information, therefore, we just go back in like we were having a very pleasant evening, and now we are back.
Fair. All right. After you, my lady.
Well, aren't you always a gentleman? And she'll just kind of smile at him as she shakes the sand and water out of the hem of her skirts and keeps walking.
Mm-hmm.
As she keeps walking, he'll look at her and like, sometimes, and then follow quickly after.
Oh, he's checking out the booty. Okay.
No,
go ahead.
Nymor is waiting for them outside the longhouse.
Okay. Do you have cloaks or anything with you? Or did those go in the water with you?
I think I don't remember us taking the cloaks out. Because, we were in the longhouse. We had probably taken them off in the longhouse, and then we went out the back door.
That's right. Okay. Okay, I would like endurance resilience tests from the both of you, because you are soaked through and it is freezing cold.
I'm going to use one of those nice bonus dice. And I need to ask the question, Susie, is that a bonus dice or a test dice?
Test, I believe.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
It's a test dice now, because I decreed it. There we go.
It's a 16.
Okay, 15 and a 16. Okay. Despite the biting cold and the wind that is cutting through, you manage to hold on and be as steadfast and as northern as you possibly can. You are like, this is an extremely British reference, but a young student girl from Newcastle who is out at 3 a.m. in a tiny party dress up to knee-deep snow, not feeling that cold. So you manage to not succumb to the icy winds.
Before they hit inside, Nymor is waiting for them outside and will say, I would imagine that we should, my lord, you might wish to inform the young Lord Manderley, because I would imagine he would also be perhaps called to Winterfell. So, and also, of course, it is just my recommendation that you would also tell Lady Mormont, all of those leaders, important people of banner houses may also be called. And traveling back all the way to White Harbor is a long way, and it would take maybe more efficient if he followed the retinue with you. But I leave that up to you.
If He requested me specifically. Are you certain they sent out ravens requesting other specific lords as well?
I have no idea. It may only be you, my lord.
I think the best way for, just to be certain, if the Manderleys know that he's here at Greenwall, perhaps he should stay at Greenwall until a raven comes and summons him.
I leave that communication to you, my lord. To your judgment.
Thank you, Nymor.
And Nymor just fades into the back, opening the flap for both the lord and lady.
And he'll let Lyneth go first.
Yep, just roll right ahead.
Okay. The two of you head in, sopping wet, freezing cold, but the warmth of the longhouse is a welcome feeling from the bite of the wind outside. But the revelry is kind of in its stage now where it's winding down. There are people that have passed out just on benches. You know, there's quiet conversations happening. You can see that Sana is kind of sat by the fire. She's just, she's got a mug of ale still in her hand, but she's just kind of zoning. She's got that drunk, and they're just kind of just staring kind of thing going on. Where is Brynden and Riona currently?
Brynden is kind of recovering from his tussle with his larger mammal bear cousins. I picture his hair is kind of ruffled up, and he has maybe a slight bruised eye and a bloody lip, and he's probably just sitting on a bench somewhere with an ale and kind of mumbling to himself, "Yeah, we had to be the Seawolves. We couldn't be the bears." Of course. And Brynden has to be the big one, and I'm the small one. And he's just kind of slightly drinking himself away as the night continues, and by himself as he typically is.
Mm-hmm. And what's Riona doing?
I think at a certain point, the excitement of and kind of toil of this trip kind of takes her toll on her, and I think as early as she can kind of exit, I think she will go to her quarters for the night. She is probably exhausted.
Sure. And there's accommodations here for the Braddock family and for guests. So Riona excused herself as soon as was polite. And the Lord Manderley also excused himself, headed to his quarters. The vibe that he's not really a reveler, as it were, and he was kind of like waiting for Riona to leave so he could leave. But yes, so this is what you see, Brolin and Lyneth, as you enter.
I also assume, how visible is it that Brolin and Lyneth are soaking wet and slightly more on that crunchy side of frozen? I would assume it's pretty apparent.
I would say it'd be pretty obvious, yeah. Especially with Lyneth's dresses, with silks and stuff, they retain moisture like a bastard, so they'll have been much darker color than they were when they walked in.
Cool. I picture Brynden at seeing this would be pretty strange. It's been a pretty odd evening in general for a lot of the Braddocks. So I picture him standing from his table and kind of meandering in a slightly childish, drunken stupor and be, "What happened to you two?"
Oh, well, us? We're
fine. You have a... What did you do? And she's got like her hand up against your face as just like...
And he kind of bats it away as a...
You?
Nobody hit me. I started tussling with my cousins, and I wanted to show everyone I'm not just good with a bow. It was a whole thing. Don't worry about it. But why are you all wet?
We were... He glances over at Lyneth. Praying to the old gods.
And we missed the tide. It came in early. Are you all right?
I don't know if Brynden would buy his brother being soaking wet in the middle of winter praying to the old... Both of you. That's a bold statement for Roland.
You want me to roll deception, bro?
Yeah.
All right,
She's cool,
okay, let's take this to a mini intrigue.
So we got. I'm guessing that's gonna be. Is that a base deception?
So it will be deception bluff.
Okay. And he's. I'm not gonna put extra dice into this because he doesn't particularly care.
Spicy.
6.
Spicy. Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing a 6 does not beat your intrigue defense there, Johnny Blams.
Negative. I have a 9.
He is lying out his ass. And he's not very good at it either.
He even
And
smiled afterwards.
Just
I love how, like-
smiling at him.
I love how there's this juxtaposition of Brolin, who can't lie at all about this in particular, and Lyneth, who's sitting there totally perfect and, you know, with a 14 as a passive deception. It's like, of course I didn't do. Just.
I'm your Achilles lord.
God. So, Brynden, it is obvious your brother is lying to you.
Excellent. I feel I'd give him another up down from head to toe. What are you not telling me? You taking midnight swims in next to the salt tree or something? What's going on?
You can tell yourself what you like. My business is my own.
Brynden.
I feel Brynden would weave in a very broody manner with the whole northerner cloak and the... I would do it if I could stand, but the bow. But he would probably turn and pivot and go back to his table drinking by himself at his brother's... at Brolin's remark of it's none of his business.
Mm-hmm.
Brolin.
Yes, my love.
I love you dearly. Go make sure your brother doesn't get too sulky and fight with your cousins again and break himself.
I mean, night's still young. We need entertainment.
Not entertainment that involves possibly losing your brother.
Losing? Losing how? He's here.
For
He's not going to go outside. Look how skinny he is. Freeze to death.
I meant there are other ways to lose your brother, Brolin.
Fine. Next time we engage in such festivities, I'll come back with a sign on my chest that said we just had sex and that'll solve all the problems.
Honestly, I don't know why he couldn't figure these things out. Perhaps that's something that you need to resolve for his education.
Oh, so is this like me to give him the birds and the bees talk then?
Well, no, I'm pretty sure that Nymor must have had that conversation. It is Nymor.
No. Nymor can do as he pleases. He's good at what he does.
Yes, just don't lose your brother just after you found him.
Right. Okay. And then he'll like do like a weird Michael Scott-esque shift and then kind of trudge after Brynden. Brother.
What?
Honesty between brothers is important. I am sorry I lied to you. We were having sex. There. You happy?
He's very taken aback.
If you didn't want to know, you shouldn't have asked.
And you were doing this in the ocean?
In the area of the ocean, yeah.
He says as he's dripping wet.
I got some great news. I wanted to celebrate.
Well, if you had great news, why didn't you share it with me?
Because I wanted to share it with my wife first.
Seems fair enough.
But seems as though you might be getting a nephew or a niece.
I think he spits out a bit of water.
Shush. Let her tell you.
All right. That's great news, brother. And he kind of like awkwardly reaches across the table and tries to like embrace him.
And he'll do the same, but just as awkward, but more assertive. Yeah. Yeah, I'm very excited, but also I need to share with you. I might have to leave Greenwall Keep in your care for a short period of time. I have to travel somewhere.
What do you mean? You just got back 2 years ago, and now you're leaving again.
Not permanently. I'm leaving. I've been summoned to Winterfell.
By the Starks?
Last I checked, the Manderleys couldn't summon people to Winterfell.
You see, like, the cogs turning in Brendan's, like, small northerner mind. He's like, that makes sense. Okay. Well, why tell me this is none of my business when there's clearly multiple things I should know, Brynden? I'm gonna have a nephew, you're leaving Greenwall Keep. Anything else you might want to tell me that might be very important in my life?
You asked why we were wet.
Well, because it's weird that you're wet. It's cold outside.
And
It's
we're
freezing.
northerners. It's part of it. Keep your composure,
Fine.
please. People are watching.
Fine. I'll keep my composure. I'm not the smartest, Brynden. But I see things, and I'm decent with a bow. And if there's one thing I know, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing in the ocean in this time of weather. Regardless, when do you leave?
As soon as we get back to Greenwall, deciding who goes with us, who stays put. There's time to think about that on the ride.
Okay, then. And Nymor knows, yeah?
Oh, he got the raven.
Well,
So, I know I'm the Lord, and how Lords work is they issue orders. I don't want to do that with you. I need your respect. So I'm talking to you like you're my brother, not like you're a subordinate. So the things that I want you to do, I will ask you to do in hopes that you will do them.
that seems fair. My only request, brother, is that you don't keep me in the dark. We have to stay together.
You're right, we do. But sometimes I'm going to do things that are going to be in that best interests of the house. Sometimes I may not tell you a thing or two, and I would hope that you would not get too bent out of shape about them. But hopefully try to understand my position. Is it a possibility?
I think so.
Good. Feel free to voice your concerns. Better if you could write them down and present them to me, as I'm a little tired at the moment. But I appreciate you, brother. The last thing I wanted to do was look at Mother's ashes.
He kind of takes it all in for a moment and looks back up at Brolin and says, there's a big difference between you and what you think of me, brother, and to how I think of you. You see, when you were gone, I thought you were dead. Now, I don't know what you thought while you were, whatever it was you were doing, but I thought there were 3 of us. And now there is 3 of us. And if you, me, Riona, Lynette, Nymor, everyone here, if we don't keep together, I fear that will be the end of us. So I'll trust you, brother. As long as you're doing what's best for our house. I don't want to see you gone. I don't want to see Riona gone. I just want us to make it through winter.
Our house has been here for thousands of years, and it will continue to be here long after us. I need you to have faith in that.
Nymor teaches me a lot of things while we do our lessons. You know how many kings probably said that about their house before they died?
Fair amount.
Anyways, we got work to do. He starts to get up and try to shake off the ale and stupor.
All right. So unless there's anything anyone else wants to do tonight, as the rest of the party dies down, we can go ahead and zoom ahead into the future 3 days to Greenwall Keep. Okay. So who wants to describe Greenwall Keep? Because we've thought long and hard about this fantastic castle, and it would be best, I think, coming from one of the family, describing this magnificent structure.
Nope. Nobody? No one wants to jump in?
I would probably hot potato it to either Nymor, Lyneth, or you, just because it feels right.
I hot potato it to Lyneth because she has been the one who's most recently arrived. She has the freshest eyes on the keep.
Ooh. All right. The approach to Greenwall Keep is a road relatively well tracked. The transition from dirt path to slight cobblestones is maybe 100 yards. The rising rills on either side, 2 mountains, form in the mouth of this valley. Rising from this roadway is a large, maybe 3-4 story wall of green moss that covers stone. A single large double portcullis. But rising from that wall are 2 towers bracketed on either side of this, one on each side next to the 2 mountains that form the sides of this valley. And the wall itself is maybe 100 feet wide, but it's deep. It goes deep, maybe another 120 feet. And it's on that wall that the majority of the keep, those 2 towers, the small forges and kitchens and other buildings that are used for the founding of this castle are found. And there's a guards on either side down to shoot anyone who thinks that they can actually get in and harm those Braddocks in the kill box that is beyond the wall. This is Greenwall Keep for the moss that grows upon it.
And it's that familiar sight you see as your caravan makes its way back to the keep. And you are escorted inside by your household guard, and your servants take, all your equipment, your luggage. They are well attended to as you arrive back at the keep. And it's almost like nothing has changed since you left. The fires are still roaring in the hearths. Fresh food is ready for you at your beck and call. And it's like just coming back home again, as if you just popped out to the shops for 10 minutes. Never mind, you've been gone for a week. You can see, your regular household all around. There's your master of horse who is there to attend your horses. And basically, the keep is yours. You're not told of any major catastrophes or disasters that happened at the keep while you were gone. There's some minor gossip that you kind of catch about some servants. They've got into a little tiff with each other, but they try and keep that away from you so you aren't bothered by this, minor gossip. But you're informed by your castellan that basically everything has been fine since you left. There's been no messages received, no late ravens or anything like that. The only ravens that had been sent had been received by Maester Nymor.
Well, I guess it wouldn't matter. Out of character, it might. Did they send the Raven directly to the hall, or was it like bypassed from Greenwall to?
It came straight to Nymor.
There are you can have mobile rookeries. You can train ravens to come back to their home, and that home can be on a mobile platform. So we would have taken a small mobile rookery with us, so that the raven would come back to that location. They're pretty amazing. Messenger birds are pretty awesome. So we would have like a little small, and I would be bringing all the birds back is when we come back, I'd be sort of taking the rookery back to where it needs to be.
The first thing Brolin would like to do is, like, once they enter the keep, find Master at Arms Mance. And touch base.
Yeah, your Master of Arms, he's ready and present when called for. And he informs you that, again, there has been no major incidents. There had been reports of a minor raid on the coast, but they didn't get anything, really. They stole, like, 2 goats. But were quickly seen off by the villagers on the coast. But no major skirmishes occurred. There's been no major conflicts, no reports of anything drastic while you were away. He tells you that he has been training up a bunch of new lads from the village. He tells you that they are all fucking useless. But give him a couple of months and they might be worthy to hold an actual weapon.
Nice, Mance. Can I request you prepare 6 to 10 of your finest to travel to Winterfell with us?
Oh, of course, my lord. May I ask why? Are we in danger? Do I need to up the patrols?
No, we've been summoned. I just want to make haste getting out there. I don't need a massive amount, just enough to protect a swift caravan of important individuals.
Of course, my lord. I'll see it done. Anything else you need?
Do you trust any of yours to recruit in your stead at the coastal towns?
Yeah, my second. Jory.
Yeah.
I can put him in charge.
I'd like to keep you in Greenwall and and have Jory and pick out someone to help him. I want
All right.
more recruits.
And he kind of gets quiet for a moment, and there's a look of concern that comes across his face. Stepping up recruitment, my lord. What was that for?
Well, for the towns, for the sake of the towns, if they're getting hit by raiders still, that means the raiders are not as feared of us as they should be.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll never completely get rid of the raiders. There's always going to be someone that's trying to look, whether they're ironborn or they're just some poor fucker that's got himself a boat and thinks himself a pirate.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just trying to prepare.
Of course, my lord, and if you order it, it will be done.
Thank you, Muntz. And then he'll head back to Lyneth. All right, let's start packing.
And I think as you walk up, Lyneth is already doing so. I mean, by this point, she's probably walked up to, like, the ladies and the servants. It's like, and she kind of turns to you and looks at you and goes, yes, start packing. Did you, I think we're going to need to make sure that you are slightly better. Is Brynden coming with us?
I kind of asked him to stay here at the keep. Should he?
I mean, it could go either way. There are reasons why him staying here would make sense. Also reasons why him going would make sense. I just need to know how many I need to make sure we have dressed appropriately for meeting your Lord Paramount.
Perhaps Riona, if she's feeling up to it. But, you know, I've been thinking on the way back, if the Manderley boy goes, perhaps Riona should go. If the Manderley boy opts to stay, perhaps Riona should stay. What are your thoughts?
If the Manderley boy, if the Manderley boy is staying, so am I. Your brother is a wonderful, wonderful person, but he doesn't really qualify as a chaperone now, does he?
No, but I want you to come with me because I don't want my best swordsman sitting with the archers.
I thank you for the compliment. So the answer is the Manderley boy is going, and so is Riona.
If she's feeling up to it.
If
there's plenty of options to matchmake.
Of course.
I'd say it was a decent first impression if I do say so myself.
As I told... Yes, it was a very decent first impression.
I suppose, in all of us planning, we could just ask the Manderley boy what he'd like to do. We haven't got any more ravens, so perhaps he wasn't even summoned.
Well, there's your answer. If the Manderley... Brolin, we can't just leave the Manderley boy here with neither of us here. It's being proper.
Well, the last 2 years I'm learning what proper is and what proper isn't. So, seemed like a good idea at the time.
It's an idea that's not wrong, per se, merely... Like I said, your brother is a wonderful person and I love him dearly. But he doesn't qualify as a chaperone for your sister.
And that's fair. So he goes. Unless Riona comes, then he comes. If he wasn't summoned, we can escort him to Winterfell, and then he can take the path from Winterfell to White Harbor.
Exactly.
See? Improvement.
Always. Always improving, darling. Always improving. Now, I need about a full day to finish packing. I need to, at some point, I need you to stop by. We need to make sure that things are fit for you, are fitted correctly. Is Nymor going with you?
I was going to keep him here to run the estate, I suppose. I don't know. Would it be better if he came?
Well, if I'm going, Nymor can stay here and help Brynden. That would be an equal balance, right?
That would.
And then, okay, so Riona, I'll talk to her about her dress. You, I just need to get fitted. Brynden.
This looks fine. What's wrong with what I'm wearing? And he'll look down at his travel clothes.
It looks very fine if you want to present the impression that you are the poor country cousin. And you are not. You are the Lord of House Braddock.
I hope that one day folks will look at us just like they would anyone else. Not by the garb that we're wearing, but the quality of the things we do. But that is a fucking dream.
Clothes make the person. It's all about impression and how well you can manipulate that impression, darling. Now, come on, you wouldn't want to show up at Winterfell and have some Bolton seem to think that they could talk over you.
Well, that's when you cut their tongue out.
It'd be a little hard to do if you're sitting in the Grand Hall at Winterfell.
Fine. Let's get fitted. Don't I already have anything that's decent enough?
Yes, I just need to make sure it fits, and then I'll need to do alterations. It'll be fine. It'll all be working. And she's just kind of turns and
changing scene.
So Lyneth takes Brolin by his shoulders and ushers him into a room, and we have an extended montage of all these clothes being held up against him and being measured and tucked and pinned while this is happening. But while this is happening, what are the twins up to?
I think Brynden would either try and find Nymor or see how Riona's doing. Either or. That's probably just typical. His day routine is check in with both, or probably both of them. So yeah, that's what he'd be looking for, one of the ends.
I mean, it could be feasible that all three of you are together at the present moment. No, Nymor could be checking in with the twins, see how they're doing. Could just bump into you while you're having a walk and talk like a Westerosi West Wing.
Westerosi West Wing. I feel like that should be the next show. It's
just a lot of walking down castle corridors.
Unless that is this current show and we don't know yet. So just wait.
I think Nymor would have escorted Riona to her quarters to make sure that she was safe, right? Because I know that she has health issues or has had in the past. So just make sure that she's well, and would basically make sure that in terms of coming out of the caravan, that everything was fine. And so perhaps you might have found us sort of in towards, I imagine if you're going towards your quarters as well, we'd all be in that area. Young lord, Braddock.
And then
Morning, Nymore.
Young lord, you have a face.
Is this a test, Nymore? I thought
No.
You said no more tests outside of the study. Yes, I have a face. What do you mean?
Young Lady Braddock, look at your brother. Tell me, does he or does he not have a face right now?
oh yes, he has a face. He's had that face ever since we've come back. Just that I'm brooding face.
Hmm.
Like this. Oh, that'll be surprised. You have never been good at hiding it.
Okay.
That's not what we Braddocks do, is it?
Let's
Fine.
go. Both of you come with me. We're going to the rookery. It is warm there. And you two can sit and perhaps relax. I will get something warm. Mulled wine for you both?
Oh, thank you.
That sounds fine.
Come. I will speak with one of the servants to bring you some mulled wine. And perhaps this face you have, always with this face, will lift. Riona, speak to your brother. He's clearly in a mood.
And I picture Nymor walking in front of us, and I kind of smack like Riona on the shoulder. I'm like, I don't have a face. What do you mean I have a face? This is how I look.
You have a. It's like you have a cloud falling over you at all times, and you have. You're sulking.
There's a lot
and
to talk
everyone
about.
can see it. Really? Well, then share. What's bothering you?
All right, Riona. Well,
Wait until we get into the rookery. Walls always have ears. Subtlety. Come now. I usher them into the part of the tower where the rookery is, and I'm like bringing in the ravens that I had. You two, now. Okay, we are now in a place where you can speak all of your troubles without it becoming some sort of gossip. Nobody wants gossip. That's the worst. So, what is there right now to be mopey about?
well, for starters, I get it. Roland's hard like the sea, and he's big and strong and he's tough. I get it. But I miss Mum. And he's leaving again.
Oh,
Oh, excuse me for having some feelings. I get that it's cold outside, but I have a heart in this chest too. All right?
are you saying
Young
that I
Lord
don't
Braddock.
miss?
I'm not saying you don't miss Mum. I'm saying things are changing and I'm worried about them. Roland wasn't even going to tell me that he was leaving until we got here. And if he wouldn't have been soaking in the middle of winter, well, I would have never known. So, here we are.
And you're upset that you're not going. That's part of it, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I'm upset. Why wouldn't I be?
I'm not saying that you don't have a valid reason. You've studied, correct? You've studied right.
Yes?
What families do, what you're supposed to do in your family.
Stay with the keep. I get it.
Well, someone
No.
should.
Not that.
Well, what then?
You're worried because You are the second brother. What do you do in the house, right? What use are you to the family, right? I'm not being harsh. That's just how things work. As am I. If I don't get married soon, what good am I to the house?
Young lord and young lady, Braddock, it is a time of change. This is true. Much has changed in these last 2 years, and the death of your mother was also a big change. But you must not think this way. You both have important skills and talents, and you have so much more worth than simply someone to be married to someone else. I mean, clearly, of course, you will all be married to someone, and hopefully someone worthy of you and that will honor you and value you and bring not only value to the house, but also perhaps joy in your life, bring you some smile, bring you love, hopefully. Both of those things will happen. But your value is above and beyond just what you can provide as chips for bargaining. You both are smart, and you have good hearts, both of you. You have dreams and you have hopes, and I believe that both of you two have much bigger parts to play in the story of the Braddock line. I believe that the dreams of Ok the Seer, so many thousands of years ago, speak to your futures. What those prophecies are, we cannot yet interpret, but I believe that your part is not just to go and be unseen. I believe very much in both of you, and I've seen you grow. From when I first came here, you both were 12 years old, and so small and full of life, and I remember you... I remember you, Brynden. Young Lord Braddock. I remember you trying to hit this apple that was thrown up in the air with the bow over and over, practicing. And I remember as you traveled throughout the countryside with me, speaking to everyone, and the way that you would, not at first, because sometimes you take a little bit of time to get out of your shell, but the way you would impress the people in the village with the way you would listen, the way you would give care. And you, Riona, I have not yet seen someone who takes to stewardship as quickly as you have. You have such a mind on you. Your ability to manage the household and stores, and you have a bit of an inspired thing about you. And the way that you, both of you have dreamed of other places and seeing other spaces and what it is like to travel. And I know, young Lady Braddock, I'm so sorry, that you have not had as much time and space to travel as you would have liked, and I have tried. But I think with this change, perhaps also you might be able to fulfill some of your dreams that you have had. And you are both becoming... You two are both just months away from your full adulthood, recognized. I am so proud of everything you've done in these last years, and the way you've grown, and I'm very proud of you, and I'm glad to know you and have had this time to tutor you, and you don't have to worry what other people think your space should be. Of course, there's always propriety and duty and all of that, but you also make your own space, and you have always within you both a fire that will warm all this winter. You will be okay, both of you.
Thanks, Nymor.
Thank you. Wish I had your optimism. I hope to keep that. And she'll Riona will grab Bryndon's hand. I didn't mean to sound harsh. It's just I know what it's like to be the one stuck in the keep. And I know what you're feeling. So it's better that you say it out loud. Keep that in you.
The keep is sometimes fun. There's always something interesting to do in the keep.
This goes back to the motif of I'm not a regular maester, I'm a cool maester, and I love that so much about Nymor. And I think Brynden would take this moment to kind of come out of his broody shell and look up to Riona and say, I'm sorry too, sister. I know I can be a bit much, and I can be a bit sulking, and I can be a bit paranoid. To be honest, I just want what's best for all of us. I want us to stay together, and I hope that happens.
Well, we have a similar thoughts on things. It's just I've had more practice making sure that's not seen. You know how that is.
Young lord and lady, you should know that when the time comes that Lady Riona will marry someone worthy of her mind and her curiosity and her talents, she will inevitably move away from here to some great lord's keep. But that does not mean that you will lose your sister. Your sister will always remain with you, and there will always be travel, and if all goes well, then she will marry someone from the north and not so far away. The north is large, you all are large, but it's not so far to travel. You will not lose your sister. There will be change, but it will not be loss. It will only be adding more.
You're always out traveling. You'll have opportunities.
No, we will travel to where you go.
I sure hope that's all true. We should probably find Brother Naneth and see what the plan is if we're going to be staying here.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
So, you actually don't manage to find Lyneth and Brolin for quite some time, as they are kind of sequestered away in their own quarters, preparing to leave. Brolin is loudly complaining as he's being jabbed and poked by needles all day, as Lyneth is bringing in his gear, and having him fit for potentially, very makeshift, but nonetheless fine new clothing appropriate for court. But evening rolls around and a great dinner is prepared for you all, and in typical George fashion, there are roasted meats everywhere, parsnips, roasted root vegetables, wine is flowing. It's just all the food. Just imagine the biggest, nicest roast dinner you can think of. Very hearty and warm. Fresh bread has been baked. There's a really nice, thick soup as a starter. I'm not as good as George at describing meals, and I'm making myself very hungry. But just imagine a very nice, hearty feast has been prepared for your first night back at Greenwall Keep. And the young Lord Manderley is also here, being a guest of the keep. He's kind of just turned up with our invitation, just assuming that this is where he's supposed to be, and he's kind of stood awkwardly on the edge waiting to be assigned his seat because he doesn't want to take any liberties, but nonetheless the family are gathered once more.
And Nymar is sitting in the servants' table with Winifred, not with the family itself, but with the help.
What is Brolin wearing in this scene?
Prax, what is Brolin wearing?
Oh no! He would be wearing his normal clothes. This is the whole thing about earlier is half of it is Lyneth wants him to look good for court, but the other half is she doesn't want herself to look bad because there is a certain level of like she's now the lady of the house and this is your first appearance at the court. She should be making you certain heavily embroidered things. This is also an evaluation of her. So all of like that is now taken off and put away so you don't mess it up. And like you got shoved back into your normal everyday stuff. It's like these are your church clothes kind of things.
He's wearing things that aren't dissimilar from what he normally wears, but the one thing you notice about him that's different is you see him practicing, like as he's eating, you see him practicing keeping his elbows off the table. You see him like as soon as he begins to slouch over his plate and shovel food in his mouth, there's like something that goes off in his head and he slows down and like straightens his back and tries to like he's got big ham hocks for hands, so he's got a very small silverware and he's trying to find through his own devices the best way to hold a spoon that doesn't look like he's a wildling.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I would picture the seating arrangement is you at the center, Lyneth at your left or right, and then me next to you, I would assume. Okay. I think Brynden would take this opportunity to be a little brother for once because we missed out on that. And as he sees his older brother kind of struggling with how he's eating, he kind of taps him. He goes, "Brynden, when you eat with that fork, you take your ring finger up like this. See?"
Wait, one more time. I didn't catch it the first time.
You take this finger. Eat this way. Nymar taught it to me. It's a fancy trick.
Roll a deception, buddy.
I love it. I don't even have to ask for dice rolls. We're just tattling on each other.
Here we go.
Am I next to my brother?
I would imagine
Oh, no.
so. The twins will be seated together, right? Unless you're at the other side with Lyneth.
Or do you sit next to Lyneth?
I think I sit next to him. I give my brother a look.
I love it. And like, even if he doesn't see you, he can feel that you're looking at him, and he knows like, oh, Rihanna would be so mad at me, or she'd be scolding me if she could see what I'm doing. All right, a good old deception. 5 banger.
Big 5. Big 5.
I almost use an extra dice on it, but it's not that time.
What's your passive awareness?
A passive awareness? Awareness. It's a 3. Right? That's how many dice you have, right?
Yeah, and then the passive is times 4.
Yes. Passive is that times 4.
Well, that's between 9 and 20, if my math is correct.
Northerner
That's
math.
12.
Let's go.
It's 12.
Well, now it's not Northern math. But.
Well, that doesn't beat your intrigue. I mean, 5 is never going to beat anyone's intrigue defense. So you can tell he's pulling your leg. He's being a little shit.
And then I look at him and go, ha, ha, ha. Let's see how you fare at court.
I think I did just fine. And he starts running his hands through his like luscious locks. Well, you away being a pirate boy, Nymar was teaching me how to be a lord.
Pirate boy? Is that what you think I was doing? And then there's like a stiffness, like the air gets colder.
Ooh. Ooh.
I felt that.
Please elaborate.
I was just poking fun, brother. It's all. And he notices he's kind of overstepped the line of being the menacing younger brother.
And he takes one more spoonful of soup and then puts his spoon in the bowl and then sits back in his chair. Brynden, I'd like you to stay here and look after the keep while I'm gone. Is that something you can do?
Your wish
This
my
is me
command,
asking.
brother.
Thank you.
I can do that.
Nymore, I would like you to stay here and guide Brynden. Riona, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling fine.
Would you like to come with us?
Really?
Up to you.
No, I would love to. Well, that I am able to.
He'll look at Lyneth. Yes?
No. She just kind of like quasi turns to Riona and says, well, in that case, we need to make sure that you're appropriately addressed. We'll have to have a fitting for you tomorrow, and we'll see your packing. Lord, and then she'll like kind of call like I don't know, I'm trying to figure out what would be. Do we have people on both sides of the table? Or only one side?
It's up to you guys how your hall is set up. Whether you have like the long table at the end where everyone just sits like long Last Supper-esque, like that, or you have a table that people would sit around. It's genuinely up to you folks how you've set up your own hall here. There are, much like you see in a lot of other places, there are like long benches in this room that are just used for like when there's a big event going on and people are here. One of which right now is currently occupied by the servants of the house.
Like the side table, yeah.
I think when you're not hosting a big event, we have people on both sides of the table, kind of like to make it slightly more intimate for the family.
More family. Yeah.
And she'd kind of have seated. Lyneth would have seated the Manderley boy across from her, close enough that he could have a conversation with Riona next to her, but still be. And it was like, Lord Manderley, are you going to be I'm assuming you're going to be joining us on the way to Winterfell?
And as you say that, his mouth is currently like full of chicken, and a little bit of gravy comes out. He goes, yes, my lady, if that is amenable to you and the young and the Lord Braddock.
Yes, men of commitment are always welcome.
And he's like desperately trying to look at Lord Braddock just for like some sort of approval. Sorry, go ahead, Trooper.
Maester Namor just sort of gets up, sees the choking, sort of like subtly slips around to the back behind Lord Manderley and picks up the small, thin, very, very old and sort of crooked a branch of a weirwood tree, and then just passes it over his food, and then hands it over to Riona so that she may have it, because he noticed that Manderley didn't do the food ritual and just was a little concerned about that, and then makes his way back to the side table.
Yeah.
And young Manderley is absolutely mortified that he fucked up somewhere. He didn't know this was a tradition, but it's kind of like someone who doesn't say grace before a meal and everybody else does, and he starts tucking in. He's like, oh shit. And his eyes go kind of wide for a minute, and his cheeks go a little pink because he's like, oh no.
I think.
And I just pat him. It's all right.
I think Riona blushes a bit this entire time, but I think she'll try and just sign him out to him. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, thank you. And sorry, just to briefly break for a minute, we hit our 20 RTs, which means This family have earned a boon. What that boon will be, you will see. But remains to be seen as of yet. Okay, so the Lord Manderley is sat there and he's looking between the two of you. And he looks confused for a minute. But he seemed genuinely pumped to be asked to accompany you to Winterfell. But there's a moment where he's like chewing on a bit of bread. And you see him swallow it hard and he says, "But may I ask, why are we traveling to Winterfell?"
Raven has come. We must pay our respects to the new Lord Stark.
The new Lord Stark?
Yes.
Well, what happened to the old Lord Stark? He wasn't that old, was he?
No, but I don't know. That's why we need to go to Winterfell.
And he's kind of like leaned forward, while he's asking his questions. He completely forgot where he was for a minute before he sort of comes back. Of course, I'm sorry. Very curious, is all.
I would assume that your father will also be making his travel there from White Harbor.
Well, if the new Lord Stark has summoned everyone to Swire-Fealty, then yes, he would have done. House Manderley has been loyal to the Starks for generations. And then he turns to Riona and says, "Are you coming?"
Yes, I am joining my family for the trip.
And he smiles widely. "Oh, that's good."
I think she blushes. She kind of like there's some blushes again. It's like,
It's a long ride to Winterfell, though.
It's more time to get to know you.
And his eyes snap back again to you, Brolin. Yes, my lord. I would like that very much, my lord.
They teach you how to fight in White Harbor.
Of course. I'm well practiced with the blade. I can use a sword.
Are you now? As Brendan's like having some soup, he's like, because I wouldn't be that excited. On the way to Winterfell, there's wolves, grumpkins, snarks.
Brynden.
A whole lot.
And he for a minute though, there's something in his eyes as he looks at you, Brynden, and he says, "I'm not afraid of wolves."
No.
No.
Well, that's great then. Hope you have a fantastic ride, Lord Manderley.
Thank you, Lord Braddock. And there's like a little snippy bit to his tone, like passive aggression that sneaks through there.
Yeah, you're getting it from two sides because I think because Riona is giving this like, "I will give you a talk later." Don't ruin this for me, brother.
You're ruining it.
It is 100% that older brother, right? Trying to ruin his sister's dating chances.
Oh boy.
Well,
But nonetheless, the young Lord Manderley turns again. He like very noticeably turns his head from Brynden to be like, that is his noble way of being like, "Fuck you," basically. That's a noble flip in the bird as he just turns his head from Brynden. Yeah, 100%.
well, Roland, I'll be sure to pack some practice swords for the journey.
Practice
I'd love
swords, my
to.
lord.
Right. wouldn't want to accidentally injure the young lord of White Harbor.
It takes him a moment to clock what you're saying, and then he kind of looks at you, looks you over, sees the size of you, and whoever is seated next to him can very audibly hear him gulp as he reaches for his wine and takes a big sip. I fear I may not be as martially skilled as you are, my lord, but I will be certain to not disappoint you.
Don't worry about disappointing me. Worry about getting better. It's a journey.
Of course. Much like all things, it's a skill to be learned and honed and developed.
You learn a lot about a man by the way he fights.
He's just nodding very politely. Mm-hmm.
And I think there's this subtle turn of Lyneth turning to look at Riona and just the two of them going, really? Really? Both of them?
I guess that she is quietly... She's hoping that he doesn't see it, but she is seething now. Like, it's like, please, don't do this to me. So she looks at Lynette.
It'll be fine. It'll all be fine.
So, while we have a new person at the table, tell us a little about the things that you like, Roland. What's there in White Harbor that you enjoy?
And he takes a moment and he's clearly trying to think of the most impressive thing he can think of. Trying to make that best impression. But his shoulders kind of sag for a minute as he goes, well, my lord, I don't have any tales of adventure or great battles or anything that would be considered thrilling or daring to tell you, but at White Harbor, you know that it is the biggest port in the north. We see people from all walks of life. We see them from Essos. It is a beautiful place filled with fascinating people. I have seen men and women from every corner of this place, of this earth. I have heard tales of distant lands and of strange creatures and stranger animals. Did you know there's a place where the people file their teeth? I thought that was very bizarre. But I saw a man, a sailor. He had these points for teeth. And I saw him, he bit through a stake as thick as my arm like it was nothing. And then in one port, I met a man who told me of a land where people's skin was as hard as stone. So I don't have, as I said, tales of battle, of war, but I have tales of travelers, of sailors, of explorers. That is why I love White Harbor, your lord.
Impressive. And then he'll take a sip of his drink. Like, he's genuinely thoroughly impressed. Like,
And then Brynden chimes in as he's dickishly eating his soup. And he's like, yeah, it's really impressive. He's great at listening and looking at people, brother. I'm sure that'll come in handy protecting our sister.
Brynden, walk away from the table right now.
And he gets up and leaves, taking his bow off of his back as he exits the hall.
And Roland smiles and says very quietly to Riona, the other thing I've learned about living in White Harbor is that women often don't need us to protect them.
she'll give him a smile. She's turning red.
That's the smoothest that kid has ever been, by the way, and he knows it. And afterwards,
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh yeah, that was slick." And he's trying not to fist pump under the table.
Poor boy.
Nymor will excuse himself
Mm-hmm.
from the side table.
Okay. And what is Nymor doing as he excuses himself from the table?
He's going to find Brynden.
Okay. And
Yes, find
where
Brynden.
does Nymor find Brynden?
The typical Brynden being a moody boy place is in the yard where he is just firing arrows one after one after one, kind of in his own little boy world. It's Brendan's world, and they're just living in it, you know?
You are pulling a little bit to the left.
Do I tell you how to read, Nymor?
Sometimes you can be a little mouthy, it's true. And as you know how skilled I am with all things marksmanship, I'm sure I have impressed you many times by my amazing skills at the bow. I think the last time you had me use your bow, I hit... it was not the broadside of a barn or the wall. I was not able to hit that. It was not... I think I hit the dirt. But very well.
All right, then. And what do I owe the pleasure of this this impromptu lesson, Nymor? Going back to the...
What
Thunk.
do I owe the pleasure of your... Young Lord Braddock, let me ask you, do you think so little of me?
Well, of course not, Nymor. You're my best friend.
I am also the one who taught you manners. What do you think they will think of my skills as a maester after your behavior and dinner tonight?
I didn't really think of that way, Nymor. I was making a little of an ass of myself. I get it. I'm a little upset, and I figured some comedy might lighten the mood, but I guess it did not.
No, because you weren't really joking.
Well, of course not. That boy's a rat without a tail, Nymor.
This is not about him. This is about your brother, and it's about losing your sister, and it's about you staying here. But listen, you staying here at the keep is not a bad thing. It is a good thing. No, you will not see the Starks, and you have not yet. But being here at the keep is an opportunity for you to be the lord of the castle for 2-3 weeks. It's good for you. It is practice you will need for whatever it is that you do after...
Practice for
whatever
what,
the future may
Nymor?
hold.
To be the lord of this. That's not me. That's gonna be Roland's son. Or daughter.
Well,
That's what I thought.
Brynden, the future is always uncertain. We cannot count on the future to be anything we might think it might be. You know this as well as I. When you think you know
Naimor,
your
what would
future
you
will be-
expect of me? What do you expect from me in this? You want me to be happy? Do you want me to put on a fake smile and prance around this keep and pretend that I'm thrilled that my brother's going to Winterfell and my sister's going and I get to play Lord for a day? Well, I'm sorry. I'm not thrilled about it.
Young Lord Braddock, I do. It would be good if you could practice a little bit putting on a smile that may not be there in your heart or in your eyes. Having not everyone know all of your intentions all the time is a skill that perhaps is not common in Northern Lords, but it is a skill that is good to develop.
And how do you suggest we go about doing that?
Practice, of course, like as you do with your bow. But more importantly, I know this is also hard for Riona. You're not the only one in pain in this moment. And it has been very hard for her as well. It's been hard for many people in this keep to lose so many people so quickly. But you are someone that the people of this keep and the people in these lands, they know you and they look to you. You set the tone for those who do not know him. You set the tone of how they should feel about him and about the situation. And if you are so with this dark cloud, they will have a dark cloud as well. You must put on a brave face for all of the lands. They will follow your lead, and it is your duty at this moment to support your brother, even though it may be difficult. And it is your duty to keep the people of these lands at ease. It's hard for them, maybe not all of them, but there are numbers of them who don't trust him. He is up here, but he's also an outsider, new. And what you and Riona, how you respond, especially now that your mother is gone, will be important. It is your job to support him and in this way. But it is also your job to continue your training as a lord to be, because no one knows what the future will hold, except maybe your dreams, or perhaps the great seer, Hawk. And I think it is important for you to be ready. Advice to say, prepare yourself for every eventuality, and then when any eventuality may come, then you will be prepared.
Fine. Naimor, I'll put on your fake smile. I'll prance around like some lord. But I have one question for you, Naimor. What's my future here? Roland's son or daughter becomes the heir. Riona leaves, and what, I'm sold off as what you put it in the... What do you call this? Gambling tokens, perhaps? I'm just sold off to some house to further our family lines. That's not a future I wish for, but if that is what is asked of me, I will do so. And I'll do it with the best fake smile you've ever seen. And he does a really bad fake smile because he isn't very good at that.
Brynden, do not forget the prophecy. Do not forget the prophecy.
Lymor, that prophecy could be about me. It could be about Riona. It could be about some bloke 5 towns away from here for you. That's the thing about prophecies, is there's no, hey, look, it's this guy.
No. But the prophecy could not be about anyone. But this prophecy is powerful, it is strong, and you are not excluded from this prophecy, as you and I both know. It may not seem like it to you, but you are not excluded from this prophecy. And so long as you are not excluded from this prophecy, you must always remain ready. Do not wish ill on anyone, but you must be ready in case this prophecy brings dark, dark times. And if it does, you must be ready to step in. This prophecy may be not one of joy and good tidings. It may be one of death and sorrow. And if this prophecy that at this moment hangs over us as joy is a prophecy of doom and of death before the joy, then it is your responsibility to step forward. And you must be ready and you must be mature about this. You must be able to become what you might need to become. And I know this is difficult because your entire life so far has been ifs, possibility of if this, and then not that, and then not that. And every time it seems as if this will be your moment, and then it is not your moment, and it's someone else's moment. I know this is difficult, but the prophecy is not finished. And as so long as prophecy is not finished, you must always be waiting. You cannot give up, but you must also be prepared that this is not your prophecy. It might not be yours. And if it is not yours, you must take that with grace. But if it is yours, you must be prepared for more sorrow and more heartbreak. And in that sorrow and heartbreak, you must step up and do what is best for the House Braddock.
I feel as he says more sorrow and more heartbreak, Brynden starts drawing arrows again and more sorrow. More heartbreak, the typical story of House Braddock, huh? Well, I can't be broody forever, Nymor. And he throws his bow at Nymor for him to catch.
No!
You said you wanted me to smile. Go ahead. Hit that dummy.
All right, Troopa, I would like you to roll me a fighting bows test. Is it into fighting? Yeah, right? Or is it?
Marksmanship.
Marksmanship. Duh. There's a freaking skill for it. It's marksmanship. Yes. Sorry, I'm blind. Marksmanship bows, if you wouldn't mind, please.
He looks at you. He knows. You have seen him do this before. Usually when you need, to be cheered up.
And welcome in raiders from St. God. Thank you so much for that raid. I hope you all had a great stream, and welcome to our Game of Thrones campaign for the North.
It's not under fighting. It's under...
No, it's under marksmanship.
Marksmanship.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. He takes the bow, and it's awkward. He picks it up.
And I picture Brynden and him get involved in this, like, teaching you how to golf, like, scene, and he kind of stands as my bow falls. He gets behind him and kind of put your hand here, and then you pull back, and then just let it go. It's easy. You can do it. If I can fake a smile, you can shoot this bow. Right?
Ooh. Okay. And he puts the bow up.
Embrace your future, Nymor. You can do it.
My future is not as a bowman. I take my penalty die, because I'm really not good at this.
Oh, no.
I don't have a arrow.
He hands you one. I have to get rid of one now.
Johnny, I'm not tracking arrows, for fuck's sake. Don't worry about it.
Well, I don't think this one will. I don't think we'll get this one back.
No. 5. I I try, and it's and you see as he's pulling back the bow and arrow, trying to mark your stance, you can see that his hand shakes. It's like his there's like a bit of a tremor to his hands, and he tries to let go, but he doesn't let go in the right way. It smacks the bowstring, smacks his fingers in, like he doesn't release right, gets a small cut. The arrow it's just really embarrassing. The arrow goes, if there might be a dummy, I don't know. That's not where the arrow goes. The arrow probably sort of strikes one of the low walls and just shatters. Your
See, now when I feel like being broodier, being moodier, putting on my frown, I can think of this moment and thank you for it, Nymor. So,
what am I here for, young Lord Braddock? If not to ruin your supplies.
I don't look at it as ruining surprise, Nymor. I look at it as a friendly bonding time between a maester and a student.
Indeed.
And after that friendly bonding time, we will cut to a few days later as everything is prepared for the journey to Winterfell. Brolin, Lyneth, Riona, you are all packed and ready. The carriage is waiting for Lyneth and Riona, and Lord Brolin, should he wish to take it. But horses are prepared. Mace, your master-at-arms, has prepared a guard for you of his 10 most trusted men to go with you and protect you. They are clad in fairly simple armor, but you know from your own experiences, Brolin, and watching them train, that these men are very skilled at what they do, despite their simple appearance. And each of them have the shield on the round shield on their backs, which bears the painted sigil of the sea wolf. And Lord Manderley is mounted up on a borrowed horse, as he and his original sort of accompaniment had kind of sort of wandered off back. Once it had been, decided that he was to be with you and traveling with you, his original group have basically, the people that shepherded him up here, have headed back to White Harbor. And so he is seated upon a borrowed horse of House Braddock, and he's wrapped up tight. He's got his furs around his neck. He's got his gloves on, and he's looking expectantly, just waiting for the signal to go. But waiting and watching him leave is Mason Nymor and Brynden, as you're all lined up.
I think Lyneth would take...
Go ahead.
I think Lyneth takes a moment as everyone's getting ready and just kind of comes up behind Brynden, and just, are you all right, Brynden?
I've been worse. I'm fine enough, thank you.
It's not easy being the youngest sibling.
No, it isn't. It's not really easy being a Braddock.
You should try being a Tyrell sometime. I think you might enjoy it.
And what's that like?
Everyone expecting you to be absolutely perfect all the time. And then watching your brother die in defense of the crown. Because that is what a House Paramount does, right? They defend the liege.
Then I'd ask you this, Lyneth. What does the second brother do?
Well, my second brother ended up dying on the Battle of Redgrass Fields, so... He protects the family.
I'm sorry to hear that. Then that's what I'll do.
And I trust you to do
And he
so.
sort of gently smiles at you because this is like a good sentiment for us for once. I'll do what I can back here. You make sure
And
he
then she
doesn't
kind
get
of-
into too many deep conversations.
I will try to prevent your brother from starting any fights that he can't finish. And she kind of leans even closer in. And I want you to keep Nymor away from certain inns.
I can do that. What kind of inns?
The ones that might test his vows.
This is like a big deal because Brynden and him have been such good compadres for so long, but this is finally a secret that has surfaced. Okay. I can keep him away from the inns, sure. I'm sure we'll have plenty to do while you all are gone. Yeah. Anything else? Any other tips to being Lord of Greenwall Keep?
Listen to your cooks and your castellans. They'll always help you. The servants are the ones who knows everything.
Okay. I can do that. You notice he's like trying to take mental notes of like no inns, cooks know everything. Don't burn the castle. Got it. I can do this.
Yes, and like that, and then she like just kind of pats your hand and smiles at you, and as she turns and walks, she makes eye contact with Riona and just kind of subtly shakes her head like this is gonna go bad. Will be entertaining in the best way.
I think Riona would make her way to her brother, to Brynden. It's certainly strange being on the other side of this.
I bet.
You'll be
Take in
fine.
every second of it. I'm not worried about me. I'm not worried about you.
I'll be fine. I think this will do me
Well,
some
if-
good.
I think it will too. And if you're not feeling well, you're more than welcome to send Raven, and I'll come get you, or Nymar can come get you, or something. But
Yes,
don't
we have
feel
that.
you
Don't-
have to do this.
Don't worry. We thought about that. Just take this as an opportunity that shown itself. I mean, show what you can do. I mean, that's how I learned. If you have any doubts, Nymar knows what to do, and also I have a book. A logbook
So you expect
in
me
the
to?
shelf.
Are you leaving it here?
No, I am leaving it here because I am not in charge of the house while everyone else is away. And you don't have to read all of it. If you have any problems or have looking for what to do, there should be something in there.
Okay. I'll look for that book then.
This is a good opportunity to also get to know the people that work in the keep. It's good for our Lord to know his people. And try not
That's
to
what
get
I'll
in
do.
too much trouble with Nymar.
He smiles and his tone kind of changes a little bit when he realizes that This is the longest we're ever gonna be apart. I'm gonna miss you.
I'm gonna miss you too. I hope that's not too long. Don't
Same.
worry. Unless you've seen something. You haven't seen anything, have you?
Nothing.
Then it'll be fine.
I think
she'll give you
he
a big
grabs his sister and yeah. Yeah, he grabs his sister and he's like, ride safe.
You'll be a great Lord Braddock here.
I'll be a great something or another, I guess.
Don't let what I said on the trip bother you. I was also mad. I was frustrated as well.
I'm not worried about that now. I just want you guys to get to Winterfell safe.
Yeah, I will. Me and Lyneth and I will do our best to make your brother seem as lordly as possible. Yeah,
I bet you'll do a fine job.
I mean, he has to make a good showing to the rest of the Northern Lords, being new Lord Braddock and all.
Just make sure he doesn't drink before court. We should be fine.
So as you two are hugging and sharing these final moments, one of the household servants come up to you, Riona. My lady, it's time for us to leave.
Okay.
Nymar's loading up some ravens into one of the carriages that can be brought back. So he's there at the carriage, sort of loading up the ravens and making sure everyone has what they need.
I think before we let off, I think she's going to go to Nymar and just say, you two don't get in too much trouble.
Young Lady Braddock, we never do, but if you would.
Of course.
He goes into his sleeve and he pulls out like a small poultice. You know your health sometimes fails, so make sure you take this
Yes,
if you're feeling sick. I don't like you having no maester with you when you're on the road, but
You've
also
told me I have it.
good.
You know what to do.
You will be all right. Just keep an eye out on Lady Braddock. She was not looking so well at the before. And just make sure that everyone is safe and healthy.
I'll
You
do what
too.
I can.
Also, this is exciting for you, huh?
Yeah, this is great. This is Winterfell. I didn't ever. Oh, there's be so many house lords there.
You see
Yeah, I've
everyone.
never- Yeah.
Remember your lessons. Remember the heraldry. Learn everybody's name. Find out who they are, what they do, what they're interested in, so you can use it in the future.
Yes, and keep in mind who came and who didn't come or send ravens. Correct.
Thank
Yes.
you. Note everyone who is there, everyone who is not there, who sent ravens, who's not sent ravens. Also note,
Yes.
while you're there, just note what their supplies are like, how well they're doing. Just assess.
Of course.
Again,
This is-
the same servant is like, my lady, I really do not wish to impose, but we really have to go. The light. We need as
Yeah.
much light as possible.
Last thing, just make sure my brother doesn't have this look on the entire time. I know he does.
I will try. I think I will
Safe.
succeed.
I think she'll give him a quick hug before, very
Mhm.
quickly before we leave.
And Namor gives her a
Yeah.
hug back. And there's like this kind of like sad look as she walks off and the family goes.
Yeah, and she's all but like shoved into this carriage as the servant is like, we gotta go, time. And he hops on the side of it and the carriage speeds off away from Greenwall Keep down the mountain.
Nymer says to Brynden, because he watched that interaction between Brynden and Lyneth, although he was not within earshot, he was dealing with the ravens. And he just walks up to Brynden and he says, Lady Lyneth is very charming, is she not?
That's one word I'd use to describe her. She's
Notice
also
a
very
little-
informative.
I notice a little bit of blush on your cheek. Bit of a smile. First time I've seen you smile in a little while.
Is there something you're not telling me, Nymor?
Are you still all right that the betrothal between you two was broken in favor of your brother?
I think so.
You said you were all right. But you were very drunk at the wedding.
Let's not make this about me, Nymor. Let's focus on you. How's your love life been?
I'm a maester. We cannot have love lives.
Is that so?
Yes, that is what is said.
And as the scene goes on, I picture like Nymor and Brynden shooting the shit and him asking about these ends and him going, what ends? I don't know what you're talking about.
Not yet. But he just says as we walk back,
100%.
just remember the prophecy. The drowned sea wolf shall return to wed the winter rose, and the salt tree shall bloom once more.
Brynden kind of kicks a rug and he's like, I still think it's about Brolin. And keeps walking.
Could be.
We have an incidental shot between scenes of the salt tree, which has not yet bloomed, and the winter snow falling as we zoom back out and follow the carriage. Unless there's anything anyone wants to do on the road, I'm down for a time skip because a week's to RP and a week's worth of traveling would be rough. You make camp along the way, you have pleasant chit-chat by the roadside. The young Lord Manderley is growing in confidence within speaking to all of you during this time period. You're spending much more time together. But before long, you see it on the horizon, Winterfell. This is a large, imposing, dark structure contrasted against the stark white of the snow. These great gray stone walls just appear out of nowhere. The earth around Winterfell is completely flat, providing just this 360 view from anyone on the castle. And you can see these great towers of, again, this very utilitarian, not over the top fancy. This isn't like Highgarden with its beautiful crenellations and big golden rose imagery everywhere. It doesn't have big fancy curtain walls that are adorned with roses and flowers and fantastic imagery. These are bog standard, get the job done with no fancy, sort of very hardy looking walls. And you can see the big, the main big building of the castle kind of peeks out over these walls as you approach. But the big, portcullis gate to Winterfell is currently open, and flying either side are the banners of House Stark, that silver direwolf's head turned in profile that is roaring. And there are guards stood beneath, and they are welcoming in travelers as the call has been put out. And Winterfell is very busy. Very busy indeed. And you can see as you're coming in the banners of House Kerwin, House Bolton, Manderley, Castle Glover, Karstark, Mormont, Umber, Whitehill. Everyone who's anyone in the north is here currently with their retinues. And there's not even enough space to keep them all within the castle, so you can see that some are in tents within the castle walls as you come in, because it's kind of they have the great big walls and then a bunch of land, and then they keep itself, so they're sleeping within the walls of the castle.
So I'm assuming by the time we get there would be somebody directing us to where we are lodging. Are we lodging in the keep, or are we lodging in the... Okay. You, notably, are not lodging within the keep, but you have been shown a place in the grounds where you can erect your tents and your
equipment, stow your horses. There is provisions made. The master of horses, he's making sure there's enough space for everyone's animals. It is a sheltered spot. You're not like right in the front of the portcullis. You're kind of away to the side. But yeah, you are not in the castle walls, which makes sense considering the history of House Braddock with House Stark. It is more of an obligation that you have been invited here rather than you are our good friends whom we love and adore. Please come stay in our nice, toasty, warm castle. It's like, you have to be here. You can put your tent over there. But the servants treat you well. They don't treat you any differently. You are greeted properly. There's no like, yeah, just fuck it, check over there.
And correct me, because Brynden is now Lord Stark, but Brandon's still not married, correct?
Right. Brynden has no wife. He has no heir. He is the younger brother of Lord Brynden Stark, who had a wife who had died and no children.
But Brynden does have his snow, correct?
Yes. Okay. He has no legitimate children.
Just, important things for...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For trash talk. Are you gonna drag me on a different character? I've been through that once. It was horrible. Okay.
I'm not dragging on a different character.
Okay. But you are given assistance with setting up your encampment, and as evening draws on, a great feast is prepared to welcome everyone. You are not given spot at the head table, but you are given noble seats. You're not shoved back down with all the men at arms and soldiers that are here. But you can see, I should probably say, seated at the head table, let me open up my little thing. You can see there's Lord Stark, Lord Brynden, the new Lord Stark, Lord Brynden Stark. You can see a young boy who is wearing blue with a silver falcon on it. This is Harold Aaron. He is a ward of Brynden Stark. You can see there is Sir Rufus Cowan, who it is known as the Master of Arms and Castellan of Winterfell and good, trusted, and close friend of Lord Brynden Stark. Lord Manderley is seated up there, Roland's father, Lord Dennett Manderley, as well as Lord Wallace Bolton, who is the current Lord Bolton. And they're having a big chit chat. There's like very few women up there too. Their wives, if they're here, are not at this table.
Interesting. Okay. So who's we're at a noble table. Who's at our table?
At your table, you have Lord Leopold Castle, or Cassell. And you know that to be... Actually, you don't know shit. Roll me a knowledge education if you would wish to know who Lord Cassell is.
If that roll is any indication, box of rocks.
Yep. Lord Braddock does not know who Lord Cassell is, but does Lady Lyneth know who he is?
I have a 14.
14. Okay, you know that House Cassell is a minor house sworn in service to House Stark. They are basically had their foundations as like landed knights that were elevated rather than being an out-and-out noble house. So they're relatively new on the scene. They're like the nouveau riche kind of like, these are brand new nobles kind of thing. They don't have the history and tradition of a bunch of other noble families that you have here. Lord Waldron Glover is seated at your table. as is Lady Joanna Karstark and her infant son. He's just about 2 years old, but he is seated with them there. And you've been seated with your cousin, Lord Eric Mormont, too. You've kind of all been the people who you get the idea and maybe like not as important or not as liked by the Starks have been put on this table. It's just like, we'll just get them out of the way.
Oh, wait. Are we the table next to the pass-through for the banquet hall?
Yes, you are next to the servants' entrance.
With that.
So you, Lyneth, you know the Starks must really dislike the Braddocks because you're a fucking Tyrell, and they put a Tyrell next to the servants' entrance.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. I look better than anyone else here. It's fun.
You do. You look fantastic.
Brolin doesn't.
Brolin does, because Lyneth made that stupid the tunic and outfit for him, and she made the dress for Riona, so that they would both look beautiful for the high event. Okay, well,
But like here, yeah, it's all the best feature about him is his thick eyebrows and his green eyes, and everything else just looks like it got shat out by the sea.
No, we made sure.
He looks like a potato, but he do got that brow game.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a very well.
No sun's
dressed
getting into these
potato.
eyes. Right.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. So, you have been seated at this table. And before the feast begins, Lord Brynden Stark stands, and he is not a young man. He must be getting into his 30s by this point. And he stands, and he has a very serious look on his face. Every Stark has a serious look on their face. It is commonly joked that the Starks, that is the only way they know how to be. They are dour, they are without humor. They are as cold and grim as the North itself. And Brynden Stark is not any dissimilar from any Stark that has been described before. He has the brown hair that is... It doesn't really have much going for it. It's limp, it's lank. He's got it tied back, the front tied back, and the length coming down here. He is tall and broad. He is built like a warrior. And he has like scruff about his chin that suggests that he had a beard and shaved it, and he's trying to grow it back again. So it's kind of got that awkward in-between length. And he's dressed in very nice leathers. The cloak is not present as he's in his hall. And he, in a somber voice, says, "My brother is dead. He was killed in a skirmish with the Skagosi. They have been raiding and pillaging the north. The last hearth has almost fallen to them. With my brother, they took many other noble lords." And at this point, you can see that the Lady Karstark across from you has tears filling her eyes, and she clutches onto her child tighter. "But I am here today to swear to you all that the North will not fall to those Skagosi bastards. We will remain strong because winter is coming. And House Stark has stood here for millennia, and we will stand here for millennia to come. We have been wardens of the North, and I swear to you all here today that I will continue to protect the North. In my brother's stead, I swear it. I ask that you stand with me. The North is strong, but united, we are stronger, and we can repel these Skagosi invaders. We can show them the might of the North. Are you with me?" And he raises his ale cup, and the men around him, seated at his table, all cheer, and give a "aye, aye, aye," and the men at arms down at the back of the hall all let out a hearty "aye" as they are also cheering. What is the reaction from your table?
Lyneth is going to reach over and try and, when Brynden says that many lords of the north have also fallen and sees that Lady Karstark has started to feel emotional, Lyneth is going to try and lean over and comfort her just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she doesn't say it, but she sort of she smiles very sadly across at you, and sort of wipes a tear from her eyes and kisses the top of her son's head, as she's very politely like, "Thank you for the comfort. I appreciate that."
Can I take a read of if there's what Lord Stark, is this bravado? Is this coming from strength? Is he trying to kind of perch himself up?
Okay. Usually we use things like retarget in an intrigue to gain what the person is like right now. What we can do is almost have it like a minor intrigue where he is orating as his sort of thing. He's going for an influence. So I will actually roll for him to see how well it lands with you folks in terms of how he is speaking. Let me find stats that I can use for this. I'm going to use... All right. Okay, so a 13 against your intrigue defense.
Beats it by 2.
Okay. So it's going to be a by 2. That is 10 points of influence against your influence rank.
Is that
influence damage?
Is that 2 degrees against you, or just
It was 2. That was 2 degrees against Riona.
Oh no!
So that was
just by 2.
Oh, it beat it by 2? Oh my god, sorry. Okay, then that's just 5 then. Woof.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you meant it was 2 degrees. I am so sorry. No one is that strong. Or maybe they are. In which case, shit. Okay, so that's 5 points against your influence. Now, if you'd like to read target against him,
Okay.
that is your awareness empathy
Okay, awareness empathy.
against his deception.
19 with 2 6s.
19? Holy shit! Okay. That is 2 degrees of success. You don't even need degrees for this because it's a retarget. So you succeed. You learn his disposition towards you, which is indifferent to you in particular, Riona. He doesn't know you that well, so he's just indifferent, you gather. In terms mechanically, his last technique was a persuasion convince. So he is not being deceptive as far as you can tell. There is a conviction behind his words as he is speaking. There is like a fire in his eye that you can see. His body language is very confident. He's very, not aggressive, but he's very assertive in his movements. He is not giving any tells to you that he is like hiding any sort of big fear or anything like that.
Strength. Okay, good to know.
So, as he gives out this speech, and then the eyes are going up across the room, he smiles warmly, and he is seems to be energized by this. As he sits back down, you can see him talking to the man seated to his right, which is Lord Bolton, and they start to begin to have this in-depth conversation that you can tell. You can't hear it from where you are, but they are definitely having like a very intense, involved conversation with each other. And the room itself has energized with his speech, and the volume has gone up, and everyone has started chatting and talking amongst themselves. But I'm very cognizant of the time we have left right now. So I would like to pause this scene where we are right now and revisit it next week, so we can have some really juicy talking to people at the middle of this feast hall kind of deal. And I would like to cut back to Greenwall Keep. Brynden. This is a little bit of a timey-wimey. We're going to go back a day or so. In fact, to the very morning that the rest of your family arrive in Winterfell. You remember going to bed. But as you open your eyes, you are somewhere very different. You can smell the sea in the air. You can hear the waves lapping against the shore. And you're not surrounded by warm blankets and furs. You're in a very meager straw bed with a scratchy blanket atop you. And you can, as you look down at your body, you can see you're not dressed in the fine nightgown that you would have gone to sleep in, but again, a very simple cotton hewn garb.
Okay. I think Brynden would look around this room and try and find some more clues, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. So as you sort of wake a bit more and you look around, you can see you're in a very simple wooden single room building. There's a little hearth across from the bed. You can see like pots and pans are hung up on the wall with some dried herbs hanging from the ceiling. There's simple wooden furniture in here. There's a candle on a little bedside next to you. It is very, again, a very simple, plain sort of building. But there's, finely painted inside, nice red and white designs painted inside.
I think Brynden would get up and look for water, as one naturally does when they wake up. And he would look to put it in some sort of container, like a bowl. So if I find water, he would he'd fill up the bowl and look at his own reflection to see if he's seeing himself in the.
Absolutely. So you there is I would say there's like a big urn with a closed lid that has not necessarily drinking water, but things that you can wash your face in. You pour some out into a bowl and you look down. And as you do so, you notice your hands seem older and weathered, like a fisherman's hands. And you look into the water and you see the face of an older man, his skin worn by the sea and by the sun. His hair is dark and tousled from sleep with hints of silver at the temples. And he does not have the piercing green eyes of House Braddock. They're a muddy brown.
Okay. I think after this kind of hits him for a second, he would probably drop the urn or bowl in which the water's being held and look to see what's outside of this simple room and check that out.
So you push aside the shutters that seal off the outside world from your window, and you can see that this is a very small, humble fishing village. And you can see out there on the shore, there are young men and women already preparing their boats for the day, hauling in nets, looping up rope. And you can hear children running around, playing, being called after by their parents. You see one small naked child just scream past your window, quickly followed by their dad, who's like, "Get back here!" who's trying to clothe them. It is a quiet, lovely morning in this little seaside village.
Okay. Cool. Freaky. Spoopy. I think Brynden wouldn't try to engage with one of these people. Probably not the dad chasing his naked child, but look to find someone to converse with, and try and get a bearings on what the heck is going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So you head out, and you head a little bit further down to the docks, and one of the fishermen looks up at you. Morning, Frederick. You're up late.
Yeah. Say, where are we?
What do you mean, where are we? Did you eat your head or something?
Yeah. I bonked me head last night before I hit the sack. Well, where are we? I'm not feeling like myself.
Well, we're in Wayhaven. It's where you were born, where I were born, where your kids were born.
Yeah. Kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, one of the fishermen comes out and says it's a young woman, and she strides out of the water. She'd been up to like waist deep in the water. She comes out, "Morning, Dad. We out on the boat this morning?"
No. I can't say I was. I just got up, actually.
You lazy git. Come on.
He kind of follows her, confused and just kind of going with the flow to see where this takes him.
And she leads you over to a little bit further down the shore where there's a boat that's moored up with some rope, and she hops inside it and she's unmooring it, and she throws stuff at you for you to like hold on to. She's like, hold on, no, she just hold this, and she's just chucking stuff at you. And you're watching her. She's clearly someone who's spent her life, she's a young woman, maybe like 20, 22, who's clearly spent her life working. You know, she's got lean muscle. She's not wearing like a skirt or anything. She's wearing, cropped trousers and a loose shirt. Her hair is roughly tied back. And as you're looking at her and she's smiling, her eyes flick to behind you. And then you start to hear the screams. And she reaches down into the boat and pulls out a small axe. And she's like, "Dad, they're here." And she throws one to you, takes one from herself.
He picks up the axe and starts to frantically look around to see if the screams are indeed in this realm or just in his head.
So as you turn around, oh shit, we got raided. Hi Jay, thank you for that raid. Welcome in, raiders. Have a good one. You joined us just as we're having a spooky moment. You turn now and you see the scene. There are what feels like hundreds of these men and women hopping down off these boats. They are dressed in dark, like oiled leathers and carrying axes and swords and spears, and they are attacking indiscriminately. They run up to a person and just slay them on the spot. The children are being chased and hunted, and they've started setting fire to the houses, and people are running and screaming, and it is chaos.
I think not realizing who or what he is, Brynden would tend to his natural human animalistic instincts, and he kind of reaches for a bow, but there is no bow, and he's like, "Well, I guess I have to use this axe." So he gets out of the boat and starts to try and meet this horde.
And you are joined by your daughter, who's next to you, and her eyes are full of fear, but she is again running, just trying to do anything to protect her village. And she comes across this one man. He is huge, he is wide, he is muscular, and he is carrying an axe. And you watch as this axe is just embedded in your daughter's neck, and he's pulled out with a sickening squick, and blood shoots everywhere. But this man doesn't even seem to regard her. She was like a tree that he just felled in a single swoop. He steps over her body, and her body falls limp. and looks up at you with those dead eyes as blood just continues to pour from her neck. But the man is advancing on you.
I think Brynden would try and take this time to use his marksmanship even in this crazy dream realm and throw the axe at the large man's head, because he kind of processes, all right, I'm old. Mm-hmm. I'm probably not me, and I'm not going to win this. So he would try and throw it at his head.
Mm-hmm. So you with your axe, you take a second, you aim, you throw it at his head, and it's easily evaded. And the man looks towards the axe that fell and looks back at you. And you can see in Brynden, you recognize piercing green eyes as the axe comes down and is embedded in your head, and your vision goes black, and you wake up in your bed at Greenwall Keep.
Wow, okay. Obviously very sweaty method, both sweaty IRL and in character, so he'd probably and he would instantly start to get dressed and look for Nymor.
Okay. So I don't want to get into another scene because there's this could have some super cool RP, but Trooper did say there was one thing he wanted to note about Nymor before we called it today. So Trooper, hit me with it.
This is the night that we've come back, and Brynden is having these terrible dreams, but in Nymor's cell, he is not asleep at this moment. He's awake. Mm-hmm. It's his first time that he's been by himself, right? It's been a long time. It's been all of this business, all of this work, taking care of all of the people and the funeral and all of that, and making sure everyone is settled and dealing with their feelings of abandonment and all that stuff that everyone's dealing with. And Nymor has this moment to himself, and he's sitting awake still with a small candle in his cell, and he's got the book out where he chronicles things where he should be working. But rather than sitting and working, he's sitting with his head in his hands, weeping. Finally alone, he sits and he weeps.
I would like to add one thing to this scene.
Please.
After when it gets quiet, there's a small knock at your door, and Winifred pops her head around it.
Sorry, Mistress Winifred. How may I be of service?
I'm really sorry to disturb you, Maester, but I thought I was tidying around the solar and I discovered something, and I think it was meant for you.
Oh, did I drop something? By the way, you look beautiful as always.
Thank you, Maester. You are as handsome as always, and were I not a married woman, we'd be in trouble.
Were I not a Maester?
We'd be in trouble. And she laughs, but she hands you a small object that is wrapped in a simple piece of cloth.
Oh, thank you. You found it in the solar?
Yes, with a couple of the Lady Ragna's things.
Oh. I will open this after you've left, if you don't.
No, I don't want to. It's, yeah.
And she's like very politely excusing herself from the room.
He looks at the object that belonged to a Lady Ragna, who is the eldest sister of this whole clan and who was the lady of House Braddock before she died, rescuing Brolin. And he waits just a moment because there's this heavy, heavy feeling. And after waiting, he unrolls the scroll to look at this object.
It is what was once a seal's tooth that is broken, so it's not as long as a seal's tooth would be. But as you look at it, it has been etched with something. It is a scrimshaw that has been made. And there is something very familiar on this to you. You see inscribed on the surface of this tooth what you could swear is an exact replica of the Martell sun. And within it, there is the Seawolf.
He reaches for where the chair is because he can't see because he started crying again. And he sits down on the chair and he holds this tooth and he holds it to his chest. And he sort of looks out the window and he looks at the book and he looks at the little drawing of Ragna and that's there.
Mm-hmm.
And he just sort of collapses into the chair in this deep, deep sorrow of loss and isolation.
And as the Maester spends this time crying in his study, we pan out to see Greenwall Keep as the snow falls and night sets in. And that is where we end our session for today. Woo! Thank you all again so much for joining us for that. That was a good session. I had an absolute blast. We are just going to quickly go around ourselves, say who we are, where you can find us on the internet. So I'll go clockwise as always with the Mr. Johnny Blams.
Hey, yo, I am Johnny Blams. You can find me on all your platforms as Johnny Blams. That's your Twitch, your Twitter, your YouTube, and your Instagram. Primarily your Twitter and your Twitch. Besides being in For the North, I am part of a team of people over at a community called Wild RP. We do a lot of Cowboy RP, which is where you can find Susie some days of the week as well. So if you're interested in something like that, check us out at Wild RP. My closing notes is I had so many things written down that I wanted to do scene-wise, and then they all happened organically without me having to kind of bop them around. So I'm loving how the story's piecing out, and I'm very terrified. I'm brutally terrified, shaking in my Northerner boots for what comes next. So GG's to you on that, to everyone. But I'm terrified. Yes, that's my closing remark.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you so much, Shauna. How you doing?
Doing good. Oh, it's gonna. Coming next week, there's gonna be just walking around Winterfell with all these lords. This should be interesting. But I'm Shauna Flying Cirrus on Twitter, where you can see all the art that I do and the games that I play. All my games should be posted there, but especially this week, I'm taking part in the Roleplay Haven fundraiser stream. I get to play some spy game and some 5e for a cause. So. Fun.
Thank you very much, Shauna. Hey, Bill, buddy, how you doing?
I'm a doing dandy. Excellent description there of all that stuff. Gave me chills. I'm Bill of the Forest, as you can see from the little overlay thing. Love all of these beautiful people. Immediately follow them and watch all the stuff that they're doing because that's fantastic. Wanted to give a personal shout out to Cord, who's Mythomatic on the internet, who made this crown for me with his bare hands and his human hands. He's got a set of both, and they're amazing. You can find me elsewheres on the internet, actually at 6 p.m. Eastern this evening, LFM_network on Twitch. We're doing a Dark Sun D&D 5th edition campaign, and the episode that's happening right now is also one that Susie is guesting on. So if you love Susie like I love Susie, watch her on LFM_network in some Dark Sun and watch her whoop copious amounts of ass. And then Laugh Love Lindy at 8 p.m. here soon, once we get back started with The Witcher TRPG with Prax and Troop as well. Man, love doing this. What a great game. What great people. I'm glad that everyone in chat and YouTube got a chance to watch what all these people can do.
Thanks, Bill. Prax, how you doing? How's it going? How's it feel to be snubbed? Revenge.
It's fine.
Sorry. Oh no.
I want to warn Susie. I went to a diplomatic school. I actually had to do etiquette classes. I know all the ways to insult somebody and make them enjoy it at the same time. Yes, it was a thing. But hey, all, and also, I love all of you wonderful people. This will be fine. This will be great. Everything will be fine. But as for me, you know me. I'm at Gentleman on Twitter, or Prexgorth as before. You used to see me around here on Twitch. And you can find me, not this week, because we're still off this week, but next week over on Laugh Love Lindy with Bill and Trooper for Witcher Family of Wraiths. You can find me on Wandering DM on Friday for some Cyberpunk Red fun times. And then on my channel on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern for an actual hack of the Sword Chronicle system that I hacked to run a game set during my favorite time period of all time. So, hey, Susie, you talked about this series earlier that kind of skews the Sean Bean death results by a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this campaign is all set during the Peninsular War because I really, really enjoy those books a lot.
Hell yeah.
And I would like to note that Trooper, you succeeded. You did not dig as big a hole for the Maester tonight as you did for Lieutenant Valentine in Saturday.
I think that would be impossible because that was a big, big hole I dug last time. I'm just saying. It was huge.
But other than that, check my Twitter because that's where I'm going to be. And then you can find me back here. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. So, Trooper, I'm sorry for coming for your feels at the end like that.
But my
you
feels.
DM'd me so much juicy juice.
Oh yeah, I did. I did. I'm gonna just give a shout out to Bill because he reminded me of a song that I will now sing like a line from to embarrass you, because he said it. So now I have to follow up. If you knew Susie like I know Susie, oh, what a gal. So yeah, just good old turn this into musical. I had such a great time. There were a lot of feels, a lot of worrisome things happening, just worrisome. I have a post that is currently being written on the Encounter Roleplay Discord in the Song of Ice and Fire for the North thread. It's not finished, but you might want to go and look at it. There was a prophecy that was said today, and I'm going to say what the prophecy is, but because Nymor is a bit long-winded, he started talking about the dawn of the House of Braddock first. But there's gonna be a prophecy in chat for you all if you want to see it. And other than that, this was amazing. I am so excited for some drama at Winterfell, and I know that Lyneth will do us proud. You know it. And I can't wait for it. You can find me at Trooper SJP on Twitch, where I stream. The big thing I stream is City of Light and Shadow, which is a Fate French Resistance campaign, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern. And that one's good times and fun. You can also see me over on the Regiment with Prax, or you can see me at The Witcher on Wednesdays, and that's with Prax and also this way with Billy. And I think that's it. And drink, be merry, have a good time, put on the smile, because everything is fine. There's no problems ever. There's nothing to be worried about. Always smile.
Always smile. Thank you very much, Trooper. And as for me, I am Susie, otherwise known as Susanna Grace. I am a variety streamer. I do video games, I do art streams, I do tabletop RPGs. You can find me all over the internet at Susanna Grace, as written up there. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you can find me on my channel, pretending to be a school teacher in the Wild West. School teacher in the Wild West. And then on Thursdays, you can find me on Follow Black Cats for After the Fire, which is a Song of Ice and Fire campaign very much like this one, set in the same time period, where I'm going to kill Nymor's brother. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to be Queen of Dawn. So tune in for that.
That's okay. I don't mind. You can kill my brother.
Yeah, he's garbage.
It's totally fine. I'm not even
Cool.
bothered by that. As a matter of fact, I encourage you. Go ahead, kill him. It's cool.
I got that's the green light from 2 siblings, so I think I'm in the clear. But thank you again so much for tuning in and watching us. If you enjoyed this show, please do leave us a like on the YouTubes. Please do give us a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you got this far, I don't know. We need like a comment to put in the chat if we've got this far. Hashtag snubbed. There we go. Hashtag snubbed. Put that in the comments if you got this far in the video. But thank you again so much. We will see you next week. And don't forget, later on tonight, we have another show, Get Noir His Gunhammer. I'm contractually obliged to shout out Noir for that gunhammer. So please do stick around. That is a little later on tonight. But until then, we're going to go raid LFM Network, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.